Well, good afternoon, financial professionals. My name is Jennifer Nadeau, Case Design Specialist here at E4 Insurance Services, welcoming you to The Brew, building relationships every week. Thank you for tuning in today. For those of you joining the Brewcast for the first time, welcome. We like to start out the Brewcast by celebrating, of course, what today's National Day is. And our national day is today, the 1st of February. It is National Freedom Day. It is, I like this one. It's also National Dark Chocolate Day. It's National Texas Day. And it's also National Girls and Women in Sports Day. So some great days to celebrate today. On today's Brew, we welcome Virginia Craig, Vice President of Life Underwriting with Mutual of Omaha, as she discusses how innovation and technology are changing the landscape in underwriting. Virginia will share with all of us how the pandemic has shifted into a paperless and automated world, skill sets that underwriters possess, as well as governance and regulations in relation to the industry as a whole. So lots to talk about there. As usual, feel free to use the chat box to share your thoughts or ask questions. Also, all attendees are in a drawing for a prize, and we will be announcing the winner at the end of the call today. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. And Virginia, welcome. Welcome to the Brew. Nice to have you today.
Thank you so much. And those are quite the national days. I think my favorite is the women in sports and the dark chocolate. So those two,
yes,
for sure, for sure.
I think it's an awesome day today too. I have to agree. Let's jump right into it in our short time together. And, you know, in our introduction, I talked about what you'll be discussing today. And innovation and technology are definitely some of the buzzwords that we hear within the industry when we talk about underwriting. A couple of years ago, most certainly the pandemic put us in a fast forward as far as it goes with a paperless and automated world. I know that many carriers were getting there, but when the pandemic happened, it definitely fast forwarded everyone. I know you have lots to share about this and was hoping that you could share with us your thoughts and experience as it relates to technology and innovation as a whole.
Yeah. So thank you. As I look at technology, it really enables us to be able to move innovation forward. Without technology, without the capabilities that you just mentioned, we would not be able to enable the enhancements in tools that we're able to use now. So it's been a big shift from the days of full exam, full paper applications, full blood and urine, into really using tools that were available before the pandemic. But I think that overarchingly insurance carriers were a bit cautious in jumping into the pond with it. You've got to, jump in with both feet. And that really is what occurred due to COVID. The pandemic required us to stay in business as well as to help, our partners out in the field to sell policies. And without that, they wouldn't have been able to move forward because everything did require, especially in the fully underwritten space, that full exam, blood and urine kind of situation. So, and, as I reflect back, I really thought it was important to kind of share some of the tools that are available for us now. Mm-hmm. Just as back in the day, we were able to look at a full blood profile or a full urinalysis to make assessments. Some of the tools that you should be familiar with that are very commonplace and were pre-pandemic are your motor vehicle report. Those are very protective. You're able to get those very quickly. And they do provide a great deal of information in them. That's not a new data tool, but it is part of what I describe as, speaking of the Brewcast here, a cocktail of information that you're able to incorporate. So MIBs, which is, as you all know, MIB's been around forever as well, and that's your Medical Information Bureau. You're able to get that information if somebody's applied elsewhere and they didn't disclose. And unfortunately, when you use data, it's important to understand that sometimes there's non-disclosure by applicants on a policy, especially if you don't do the field underwriting because you don't see somebody. but that data comes through like MIB and it will give you information. So it's always important to disclose because we really do find out. I hate to say it out loud, but we do find out when there's something going on with somebody. So one of the more innovative tools I think that we're able to use now is called medical claims data. Medical claims data is a tool in which if you have been to a physician, they have certain coding that they use to describe why you were to the doctor. That coding then correlates to an insurance carrier. We can see what was the specialty of the doctor, why did you go, what tests were done, what were the results of those tests. Another real-time data tool that is very protective. So if on the application someone says, I went to the doctor for an ingrown toenail, everything was fine. We could pull on medical claims data, see they went into the doctor, routine, no testing, yada, yada, yada. And we don't need to get that full APS. We can make a decision right away. That is what we need to continue to move forward in the industry to get that real-time information. The quicker we're able to do that, the quicker you place that policy. So for me, that's very, very important. Another tool that we're able to leverage is called Lab Picture. And basically what it is, if you go into your doctor for what I would describe a full CBC or a full lab, or if you have to go to your doctor for possibly a thyroid check, or if you have diabetes, an A1C check, we can, again, pull that information in, look at that information based on if you went to a certain facility, and then we have labs available to us that we can leverage. That's another data tool that we did not have before. So the point of sharing this with you a little bit is that it's so critical that in underwriting, it's all about ease for the customer. It's all about ease for the producers. It's about how do we get you that offer as quickly as we can and keeping it priced mortality neutral. What I mean by that, we don't want to hike the pricing up because we don't have enough information from a mortality perspective. Sure. The two tools I described to you really do help you keeping it priced neutral, if you may, if you get a hit. Now, what I mean by that is you've got to get information back in that you can leverage. If the person hasn't been to the doctor, you're not going to get any information, or if they don't have labs drawn. One more tool, like I told you, I could talk for days about this.
Oh, this is good.
One more tool I think is important to share with you is called electronic health records. Everybody has heard about those. There are certain vendors out there. I'm not going to be specific as to the vendor, but very good information to get real-time information, real-time data. Those have become much more specific as time has progressed. What I mean by that is that before it was just a lot of information coming at you, thousands of pages. So it wasn't very effective for the underwriter to look at that. It's gotten much more concise. The hit rates, as we call, where you get information back, have substantially improved. And it used to be localized into certain areas where you could not get information. We are now able to get information in some of those states that were a little bit more challenging. For example, like a California, that has improved substantially. So that again tells you it's about that real-time information coming to us, so we're able to make those decisions if we do need some form of records. So I could stop there. I think that those are the big things I kind of wanted to cover with you, other than we still have a fair amount of work to do that we're working on at Mutual of Omaha to make sure that we're able to make that process easy for you, whether it's an e-application, an e-delivery, and then also changes behaviors with producers. Accepting that e-process is also a change in behaviors and can be hard for some, but I think the benefits could outweigh that by getting that policy back in your hands quickly.
Right. Less room for error with the electronic submissions, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Now, I have a quick question for you. The medical claims data that you talked about, that's a new one to me. I mean, certainly from being around for a while, I'm used to the MVR, the MIB, the prescription check, I think is another one.
Yep.
So every time you go to the doctor, there is a code that's put in, is that right? Just kind of like every time you get a prescription filled?
Well, it's not even prescription. It's like when you go to your physician, they have to code why you were there for insurance purposes to get paid for the service. So
Mhm.
it's an ICD-9 or ICD-10 code is kind of what it's called, not to go down the weeds there. And
Yeah,
basically that says, why were you there? Was it a coronary check? Was it for diabetes? Was it for a tumor? Was it for, and then it also shows if there was a need for further testing. X-rays. I mean, we get things sometimes that really don't matter for life insurance, but
mm,
it shows you were to the doctor and it can confirm information on that exam that
sure.
helps us to not have to go after those records, which
And
can
get
take
better.
17 days, 15 days, subject to where you're going. So it is all about getting that information in if you're with that facility that pulls that medical claims data, but it is a coding tool that's used. And it really does give us that directional information to tell us on the exam if you disclose something, if it correlates to that, great. We don't need to keep digging. We can move with that information.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. You can see how it speeds up the process. Also, kind of reinforces in my mind why full disclosure is very important
It
on the
just is.
application,
Yeah,
as always.
yeah, it just is. You're right, Jennifer.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that unfortunately, what can occur if an underwriter sees something that wasn't disclosed, they will keep digging because
Yeah.
they're concerned, do we have other information we don't know about?
Sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of underwriters, let's drill down a bit more and talk about them and skill sets as the landscape's changed. I'm guessing skill sets have shifted as well. What's the journey that you and your firm are on as it relates to skill sets with underwriting?
Yeah. So back in the day, you took your full anatomy classes. You went through all sorts of medical review to make sure that you knew conditions, comorbidities, things of that nature. And yes, you needed to have financial underwriting capabilities, avocations, but now it's really more about data use
Mm,
and digesting the information that's new that we're getting, and then really thinking through what else do I need to make the right decision. So I kind of call it more, when you're able to use data, more exception-based underwriting, meaning you get sort of the data coming in, you get the tools coming in, and you have to put those puzzle pieces together to make that decision on that policy without sometimes all of the information that we were used to. So that really does require, a lot more critical thinking. It requires personalized thinking. So when you get an application on an individual, you really have to look at that person and see what their overall picture is based on the information you're getting in, especially if it is data. What other piece or part of the cocktail do you need to add to it to have enough information to make that decision? So it's a different way of doing things that, in underwriting, you have your agent amount requirements, you know exactly what you need. At this age, I need medical records, but now we have so many other tools available to us that we can leverage. It's really helping that underwriter say, how might I use something different to get that decision quicker and get that policy out of here? And
mm,
so I think Mutual of Omaha, based on our, overarching profile, we're in a perfect position to do more of that. So that's going to be a focus for us. Now it's a journey. You don't flip a ship upside down. We don't want to be the Titanic for sure. But I think what you really have to think through is, how do you sprinkle in the pieces? How do you get the underwriters comfortable with those pieces to use those tools, if you may? And then again, leverage those in making decisions. And then they get more comfortable, just like we did back in the day with the blood, urine, and exams.
sure. Yep. Excellent. Thank you for that. Another big topic in the industry as a whole, not just with underwriting, of course, is legislation, it's governance, it's regulations. Definitely a topic we want to touch on with you today. What insights can you share with us?
The regulatory landscape has significantly changed in time, and a lot of it is truly for the better. Please don't interpret what I'm saying as negative. It's just that insurance carriers, all carriers, not specific to Mutual of Omaha, have to really make sure, if they are using models, if they are using data, is there an unconscious bias? Is there something that is happening that we're not aware of, that is occurring on the other side to really have unintended discrimination. And that is not the intent of any carrier at all. I'm sure of it. It truly is the intent to use the tools, make the, just as I mentioned earlier, how quickly can we do things for you, which is really the betterment for the applicant too. Colorado does have a law or activity going on, I should say, in which we're all working to make sure that we don't have any unconscious bias. And that we really are not discriminating. And that will really require some data scientists going in and looking at your business to say, are you using a tool, doing an algorithm to make sure that there isn't any discrimination occurring? And so all carriers are, that you're kind of in a catch-22. You're doing your darndest to use data and move things forward and have real-time decisions. And on the flip side, you really have to make sure that what you're using is fair and equitable across the board and that there's no unintended discrimination going on. So fair amount of work going on with the ACLI, regulators, and it's important for the carrier to make sure that they know what they're doing and that they know what the data inputs are and making sure that they're handling things appropriately. So, you know, new landscape, again, new skill sets that we're jumping into and diving into as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. Lots to think about there with the algorithms. And honestly, I never thought about that how they're being utilized and is there an unconscious bias there? That's really interesting. Thanks for bringing that up, Virginia. I'm sure we could talk about that for a whole other hour.
Yeah.
If you're okay with it, I think we'll open it up for questions now. We do have a couple of in the chat box, but while we're waiting to see if there's any final questions, I'd like to remind everyone that today's brew and our full library, it's recorded and shared on our brew blog on our website at www.e4.insurance. And let's do our giveaway now as well. Virginia, if you could please pick our winner, pick a number between 1 and 18.
Oh, gee, I thought, okay, 1 and 18. Well, 13 isn't always lucky, but I'm going to say lucky number 13 for some reason, whoever that is.
Sounds good. Lucky number 13, that's Lenora Pella. Lenora, congratulations. I know her. Lenora, be on the lookout for a complimentary CE voucher and a Starbucks gift card that will be coming your way from all of us here at E4 Insurance Services. And I'm going to pop in the chat box now and have a couple questions for you, Virginia.
Sure.
Your e-app does not allow for the LTC rider. Is there plans to add that feature onto your e-app?
So you're going to find I'm going to be really transparent. I don't know if that's on our roadmap to do. We have had that question come up before, as far as having the LTC rider on the e-app. It is, as you know, we have a standalone LTC product. I know we are looking at various hybrid products as well to get that LTC capability, but I don't know if it's on the roadmap. It's a good takeaway for me to find out and get back with you all just to see if it is.
Okay. That
Yep.
sounds good. Thank you for the transparency there. Mutual of Omaha has a big focus on simplified issue products. How is your experience compared to the fully underwritten block?
So our
underwritten block, sorry.
That's okay. I think I do. So the fully underwritten space is still very much heavy into the exam blood urine and no automation. When I say automation, not that strong use of the tools like we have on our simplified issue product. So with the simplified issue product, we have that capability of having a rules engine to make decisions. We have the capability of building those rules in order to push the policy out and what we describe auto issue. In fact, that's a big focus for us right now to do so. So it's a little bit of two camps. It's a different market. You know, the simplified issue market's different than our fully underwritten market is, if you may. But there is a fair amount of automation there. Since I joined the company a little over a year ago, one thing I've really stressed is it does not matter if it's fully underwritten, simplified issue. I need the data, I need the rules to come in and only kick out what needs to for the underwriter. So we're on that journey to improve that process, but our true goal is to automate and push through as much as we can on the simplified issue product. Huge volumes coming through Mutual of Omaha and simplified issue. So we have got to make that easy and not have the challenges of having underwriters have to touch it. Okay. I don't know if I addressed the question, but that is a big focus for the automation for us.
Yeah, I think you did. I'll see if there's any follow-up here to that in the chat box, and I'm not seeing any. I'm also not seeing any other questions. So Virginia, thank you. Thank you so much for your time today. I know you're a very busy woman, and we appreciate you coming on and sharing what you did today. It was very, very beneficial, very interesting.
You bet. Thank you all for having me. And again, we look forward to seeing more and earning more of your business with us at Mutual of Omaha. So thank you.
Excellent. As we continue, very pertinent to what we talked about today, as we continue to focus on providing nothing short of exceptional support in the most efficient processes for advisors, E4 has added Firelight for annuity e-apps to our technology platform. And I know we're pretty excited about that. On next week's brew, our very own Doug Twitty, Director of Annuities, will do a live demo of the platform. So that is one you will not want to miss. So again, thank you everyone for joining. Congratulations, Lenora. Have a great week, everyone. And we will see you next week on The Brew. Have a great day.